My son tried to throw me out of the house I bought for him, but he was forgetting one very important thing. He stood in the doorway, blocking me. Calm, too calm, and he said, "You should have called before coming." I didn't answer, not right away, because the shock wasn't the words, it was the way he said them. Like I was a stranger, like I was interrupting, like I didn't belong here anymore. And in that moment I realized something terrifying. Not about the house. About him. Something had changed. And I didn't know when it happened. I hadn't planned to come that day, not officially, not with a warning text, I just drove. Because a week of silence can do that to you. It fills your head with questions that don't stop, questions that keep you awake, questions that start sounding like answers. I kept telling myself this was a misunderstanding, a weird moment, a bad phrasing, something I could fix with one conversation, but the closer I got, the heavier my chest felt. Like my body already knew the truth my mind was trying to deny. Visual, realtor office, a pen, a signature line, keys sliding across a glossy table, a plus. Years ago when he got accepted into college out of state, rent in that town was a joke, not funny, cruel. 4 years of rent would have fed some landlord's retirement. So I did what I thought a good parent does. I looked at my kid, I looked at the economy, and I decided to remove one burden from his back. We bought a house near campus. Nothing fancy, solid, 4 bedrooms. More space than he needed, but space meant options. Roommates, study groups, a future. I told him, "You handle groceries and utilities, you keep it clean, you respect it." He hugged me. He said, "Dad, I won't forget this," and for a long time, I believed him. The first year was good, he sounded proud, independent, like the house made him taller. Every time I visited, he'd show me something he fixed, a shelf, a door hinge, a fresh coat of paint, small things. But he'd talk about them like achievements. And I encouraged it, because I wanted him to feel ownership, not on paper, in spirit. The house wasn't just a roof, it was his launchpad, his proof that he could do it. Then he met her. At first I didn't think much of it, he was young, relationships come and go. But she didn't go, she stayed, she moved in gradually. A toothbrush, a drawer, a full closet. And with her came a new energy. The house felt different, more controlled, like every surface had to look right, like the place became a stage. I told myself it was normal. People grow, they build, they evolve. Then he told us they were engaged, and I remember feeling 2 things at once, pride, and a strange unease I couldn't explain. We offered to host a barbecue to meet her parents, blend families, make it official. In my head it was simple, 2 families, 1 future. But from the moment her parents arrived, I felt like we were being measured. Her father dressed too sharply for a backyard. Her mother smiled too politely. They didn't relax, they observed. They asked questions that felt less like curiosity and more like evaluation. What do you do? What do you own? Where do you live? Not who are you, but what are you worth? And I kept telling myself, I was imagining it. Because that's what you do when you want something to go well. You ignore the warning signs. After dessert, my son stood up. He said, "We've decided to keep the wedding small, reasonable." Then he said, "Immediate family only, still reasonable." Then he paused, looked at her father, and said, "Her immediate family." That's when everything stopped. My wife's face didn't change at first, like her brain refused to process it. I asked calmly, "What does that mean?" He didn't hesitate. "They think it would be better, without us, because we weren't their kind of people," and I swear the world went quiet. Not because there was no sound, because my mind went numb. My wife smiled, that brave, polite smile people wear when they're bleeding inside, and I nodded. Because in that moment, if I spoke, I didn't trust what would come out. We went home, no shouting, no confrontation, just shock. And then, silence. I expected my son to call the next day, to explain, to apologize, to say it came out wrong. Nothing. Day 2, nothing. Day 5, nothing. By day 7, the silence started to feel like an answer, not a mistake, a decision. And the longer it lasted, the more my mind started building a story. Not about the wedding, about the house, about what he believed was his now, about how far he was willing to go to prove loyalty to them. So when I stood in the doorway and he said, "You should have called before coming," my stomach dropped. Because it wasn't just disrespect, it was ownership, not legal, but emotional. He was acting like this place belonged to him. And he was treating me like I needed permission. I looked past him, and that's when I saw it. Suitcases by the stairs, 2 coffee mugs on the table, a jacket draped over a chair that wasn't his. And voices, low, inside the house, not friends, not roommates, adults, his fiance's parents, living there, in the home I bought. And in that moment, I understood why he didn't call all week, because if he didn't call, he didn't have to explain. And if he didn't explain, maybe it could just become true. I walked in anyway, his body tensed like he wanted to stop me. But he didn't, not fully. Her father stood up first, like this was his house to defend, and he said, "You should have called before coming," the exact same line. Like they rehearsed it, like they agreed on it, and my son stood there, letting him say it. That's when the pain sharpened into something else, because the wedding insult hurt. But this was displacement, this was being replaced inside my own family. And I didn't say the important thing yet, not yet. I just looked at my son and asked one question. Are they staying here? He shrugged. For a while, like it was nothing, like it was obvious, like I was the weird one for asking, and I realized, if I didn't handle this carefully, I wouldn't just lose a wedding invitation. I might lose my son entirely, or worse, I might lose him and still keep paying for the life that replaced me. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't accuse, I just stood there and let the silence stretch. Her father spoke first. "We didn't expect you today." I looked at him. I can see that. My son shifted uncomfortably. "This isn't a big deal," he said. "It feels like one," I replied. "To who?" her father asked. That question wasn't innocent, it was a challenge. I turned to my son. "Is this your decision?" He hesitated. That hesitation lasted maybe 2 seconds. But in family dynamics, 2 seconds is an eternity. "It's ours," he said. Ours. That word felt final. He had chosen his side linguistically before I even asked him to. He followed me upstairs reluctantly. The door shut. For the first time since I arrived, we were alone. "You're embarrassing me," he said immediately. That surprised me. "Embarrassing you? Showing up unannounced, making it a scene. I knocked, you knew they were here." "No," I said calmly. "I didn't." The realization flickered across his face. So he had known, and he hadn't told me. That silence during the week? It wasn't avoidance, it was concealment. I reached into my jacket slowly, pulled out a folded envelope. I set it on the table. My son frowned. "What's that?" "Something you should have looked at years ago." He unfolded it. "Property deed. Owner, my name, only my name." He looked up at me, confused, then defensive. "You bought it from me, yes. That doesn't mean it's not mine." "It does," I said evenly. "I never transferred ownership." Shock, silence, gravity. "I'm listing the house. You wouldn't." "I already called." "You're punishing him," her father said. "No," I replied quietly. "I'm drawing a boundary." "You're choosing pride over me," my son said. "I'm choosing respect. You have 30 days. And that was that. We barely spoke. The house felt transitional. Not his, not mine, just ending. On the final night he asked, "Do you really think this is right?" "Yes." "You're okay missing my wedding?" "No," I said honestly. "But I'm not okay being edited out of it." He left quietly. No hug, no apology, just distance. The wedding happened. We weren't there. Calls became occasional. Surface level, polite, NTA. He forgot whose name is on the deed. You can't evict your way into being invited. Parents who attach strings aren't gifting. If he's old enough to exclude you, he's old enough to pay rent. No consensus. Because both sides carried truth. OP had legal authority. Clear. The son excluding his parents without dialogue was hurtful. Clear. But OP escalating to eviction turned relational pain into structural consequence. Power restores control, it does not restore connection. Sometimes being legally right costs more than being patient. If your child told you that you didn't fit into their future while living in a house you paid for, would you assert authority? Or choose vulnerability first? Comment below, like, subscribe, because the hardest moral battles happen inside families.